Imagine a dark, suffocating cloud tearing across the horizon at 15 miles an hour. It's not a storm. It's a ravenous army of billions of desert locusts, capable of erasing entire ecosystems and leaving absolute economic ruin in their wake. For centuries, the only response was panic and toxic chemical warfare. But when a massive plague threatened Xinjiang, China rejected standard logic. Instead of chemical planes, they deployed a specialized bioarmy of 100,000 ducks. Today, that crazy experiment is an automated billion-dollar tech goldmine. Hit like and subscribe. Let's break down how they turned a biological nightmare into pure profit. To truly understand why standard pesticides failed so spectacularly, you have to look at the math. Chemical sprays only kill the locusts currently in the air. They completely miss the real threat. Billions of pupae and larvae buried deep in the soil, just waiting for spring. That's why researchers at the Zhejiang Academy of Agricultural Sciences stopped looking at chemicals and started looking at biology specifically, the Anas platyrhynchos, or the Shaoxing duck. Ducks are naturally disciplined, social creatures. They move in tight, organized units, making it incredibly easy for herders to manage them across thousands of acres without a single foot of fencing. But their real value? Terrifying predatory efficiency. While a standard chicken eats about 70 locusts a day before calling it quits, a single Chinese duck is a different beast entirely. It operates as an autonomous, self-fueling search and destroy unit, devouring over 200 mature locusts every single day. More importantly, ducks don't just snap at the air, they root through the dirt. They dig out the unhatched larvae and pupa from the mud, neutralizing the next generation before it ever gets the chance to sprout wings. By deploying a 100,000-strong duck army to the front lines of Xinjiang, China completely wiped out the plague. The result? Zero chemical runoff, zero environmental damage, and a fraction of the cost of aviation fuel. But solving that crisis created a brand new economic question that flipped the entire agricultural industry on its head. If a biological pest is packed with pure protein, why on earth are we treating it like waste? Think about standard economics for a second. Usually, when a plague ends, the supply chain vanishes. Game over, right? But Chinese entrepreneurs saw something else entirely. They realized the global demand for high-grade, sustainable protein was skyrocketing, not just for our dinner plates, but for animal feed and pharmaceutical chitin extraction. So, they did something wild. They stopped waiting for the plagues to come to them. They built high-tech factories to breed the plagues themselves. Step inside a modern Chinese locust facility today, and you won't see open fields or swarms of chaos. Instead, you'll find rows of sealed, ultra-modern greenhouse arrays where every single environmental variable is meticulously controlled. See, locusts are incredibly finicky. If the temperature or humidity drops even a fraction too low, their metabolic rate stalls out. To beat that, automated systems maintain a strict simulated tropical microclimate 24/7. The floors are lined with specialized, compressed sandy beds, engineered to the exact density female locusts need to safely deposit their egg pods. And forget random foraging, these insects are fed automated streams of fresh, vitamin-enriched greenhouse grasses. The sheer reproductive speed is staggering. A single female can lay up to 3 egg pods in her short lifespan, with each pod packing up to 80 eggs. Under these optimized industrial conditions, the entire life cycle from egg to harvestable, protein-dense adult takes less than 40 days. Today, facilities across provinces like Shandong and Hebei are harvesting hundreds of millions of locusts annually. It's brilliant, really. The exact same insect that used to bankrupt entire farming communities is now generating millions of dollars in predictable, recurring revenue, all while operating with a carbon footprint that's up to 80% lower than traditional beef or pork. That is how you flip the script on a crisis. The final piece of this absolute gold mine? It's not just about growing the insects, it's about the premium processing. Raw locusts are highly perishable, but the moment you route them through automated processing lines, you transform a fragile, buzzing biomass into high-margin commodities. It all starts at harvest. Specialized vacuum systems sweep them up before they are immediately flash frozen, locking in their nutritional integrity. From there, the operation splits into two incredibly lucrative economic streams: culinary and human grade, targeting the snack food and restaurant industries. These insects are flash-fried, seasoned, and packaged as crisp, high-protein bar snacks that are already tearing up night markets. Industrial biopowder, aimed directly at livestock and aquaculture. Here, they're ground into high-grade protein meal, positioned as the ultimate replacement for the increasingly expensive and depleting wild fish meal used in commercial feeds. But here is where the real money is made. The waste isn't waste. Modern processing factories are now extracting chitin and chitosan from the locust's exoskeletons. If you aren't familiar, these biochemical compounds are absolute gold in medical engineering and sustainable tech. We are talking about critical components used to manufacture biodegradable bandages, advanced water purification systems, and agricultural biostimulants. Because they are so difficult to source sustainably, they command premium, top-tier prices on the global chemical market. By upgrading from a simple farm to a sophisticated biorefinery, you aren't just selling bugs anymore. You are securing a foothold in food security, agricultural tech, and biochemical manufacturing all at once. That is how you turn a pest into a powerhouse. Here is what makes this wild. It is no longer just a quirky local novelty. China is actually exporting this entire biological defense playbook as a masterclass in international diplomacy. Think about it. When neighboring nations face devastating agricultural crises, Beijing doesn't just cut a check or send standard financial aid. They literally ship the entire infrastructure. During the massive locust uprisings that recently threatened East Africa and South Asia, China didn't send chemical trucks. They actively deployed their elite locust control teams and shipped thousands of literal duck soldiers directly to international borders. They halted a crisis using zero-chemical biological warfare. It is a brilliant, aggressive pivot in how we look at ecological threats. By turning a terrifying biological disaster into a predictable, closed-loop industrial process, they proved something fundamental. The best way to eliminate a recurring natural disaster isn't to fight it with brute chemical force. It's to find a way to monetize it. They took a pest, matched it with a predator, and turned an economic catastrophe into a highly efficient supply chain. That is not just pest control, that is geopolitical genius disguised as farming. Here is the thing. As this industry scales toward its next $1 billion, it is forcing a massive, uncomfortable question onto the global agricultural sector. Building high-tech breeding facilities and managing literal biological armies isn't just a neat science experiment. It requires a level of state coordination, aggressive capital investment, and deep public acceptance that many Western countries simply do not have right now. So, where does that leave us? Will the rest of the world actually look at the data, swallow their pride, and adopt insect-based supply chains to save their crops and feed their livestock? Or are cultural barriers and regulatory red tape going to keep this absolute goldmine locked tightly inside Asia? It makes you think about how we approach agriculture as a whole. If a process change this massive, this revolutionary, has been sitting right in front of agricultural engineers for generations, what else are we missing? What other obvious natural disasters or native pests are we completely wasting billions of dollars trying to destroy when we should actually be finding a way to harvest them? Are we fighting nature when we should be monetizing it? I want to hear from you down in the comments. What is the next pest we should be turning into a resource? Drop your thoughts below, hit that subscribe button, and turn on notifications so you don't miss the next deep dive. I'll see you in the next breakdown.